This is a picture that you probably haven't seen before, or at least not exactly like this. This is Low Library on the OSU campus, and pictures of Low Library are probably one of the most common things for anyone to take on campus. So this is in the formal gardens just west of the Student Union, looking north. And here's this beautiful library. Everybody who comes to campus takes a picture of the library. It's a very common thing, and with good reason. It's a beautiful building and a beautiful campus. But you probably haven't seen a picture like this, where several things all came together to produce what you see here. Number one, there's snow on the ground, which we almost never have in Oklahoma. It snows in any sort of measurable amount, maybe 2 or 3 times in the winter. And when it does, it doesn't stick around for very long. Number two, you can see throughout the foreground that there's snowmen on the ground. And that almost never happens here in Oklahoma because when it does snow, it's not the right consistency for making snowmen. And these are big snowmen. You can see there's one in the background just before the library on the left-hand side that's a couple snowballs tall. I don't know. It's like probably 3 snowballs stacked on top of each other. And if you live in a different part of the country where this sort of thing is common, just bear with me for a second. It's not that common here in Oklahoma. So we have snow, we have the right type of snow and enough of it to make snowmen. There's also the lights on the library, which only happen for maybe 5 weeks, 6 weeks. I think they put these lights up right after Thanksgiving. They take them down shortly after Christmas. And so you don't get this particular scene with snow and a lot of snow and the Christmas lights all together at one. And then you add to that the fact that this is a long exposure. So you have this streaky blue sky in the background, and that's the result of a long exposure. I think I could check. I think this was a 10-second exposure. And I shot this when I was out doing a kind of a photo walk with my friend Ryan. He called me up and he said, "Hey, do you want to go to campus and take pictures of the snow?" And I said, "Sure." And so it was probably like 25 degrees. And we spent 2 hours walking around campus with our cameras and our tripods. He had a medium format camera and a film camera. I had my Fuji X100F and my Nikon D750 with the 50mm lens. And I didn't have an ND filter for it, so I had to, there wasn't much light in this picture to begin with, but even so, I had to stop down to like f/16, and that lens isn't the greatest at the smallest aperture. It's really good at like f/11, but if you stop to f/16, it's not the greatest. Anyway, I had to stop it all the way down just to get a long exposure, which you see here. And I wanted the streaks in the sky, and I also wanted to eliminate the people. Now, how do you eliminate people from a photo? Well, if you have a long exposure, the people aren't going to register on the exposure unless they're standing in one spot without moving, like the snowmen here. If the people are moving around, it's not going to make enough of an imprint on the image sensor of the camera to affect the overall exposure because it's letting in so little light if you do a long exposure properly. So I didn't quite eliminate the people. You can see in the middle there's like some blurry streaks. It's hard to notice, but once you see it, you'll probably notice it more. Those are students, and they were walking around, but you don't see just people standing there, which is really nice. So I really like how this photo turned out. I didn't really know what to expect because when Ryan asked me about going down to campus and taking pictures, I didn't really have anything specific in mind other than I wanted some long exposures. And we came across this scene and it turned out really well. And it makes me want to go do this again. And hopefully we'll get another chance to do this with the snow and everything else.